Hello and welcome to the biggest podcast come down in the history of podcasts. It's episode 501, the one after 501, as the Beatles didn't sing, but good of. I am joined, me being Adam Cook, by Chris Hyde. Hello.
Hello, mate. It's like that feeling, isn't it? Like just after Christmas, and you're like, I've got to wait another year to have that again. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Or like when you come back off holiday, and you're like, oh, or whatever, you know. So just, ugh. But no, I'm happy to be here. Thrilled.
Yeah, no, you sound really happy.
Yeah, I'm thrilled.
Okay,
yeah.
So what about you, Lyle? Are you happy to be here? Or are you thrilled to be here, Lyle?
I am thrilled, and I'm thrilled that Christmas does not come once a year, because Christmas is a 3-month period, and Christmas has begun now, festive fuckers. Here we go. 501. We don't want to stop the celebrating. We've moved on from the biggest podcast celebration in the history of the podcast medium to Christmas, because that's the only thing that can really help that horrible come down.
What I would say, I think it's glorious. What I would say, if people, it's going to be crap if you're not watching on video because Lyle's decorated his background with Christmas decks. What I think, I'd lay a challenge down now in October and say, Lyle, I think you should add one thing Christmassy to every week.
Oh, that's a good idea, but my God, is that going to be difficult?
Am I suddenly going to get text messages like, can we have the week off the pod this week, actually?
I've run out of Christmas decorations.
Yeah. I will say, I didn't notice, because obviously in terms of, if you're not watching the video, and I know some people don't like watching video podcasts, and that's fine, but just go to watch this one just briefly, and then go back to your audio just to see Lyle's situational sort of Christmasness. And also, what I hadn't noticed...
noticed this is shirt.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
God.
Because I'm looking at everyone in smaller windows, because I'm sort of producing the podcast live. It wasn't until I switched to Lyle like this in full screen mode that, although he's not speaking right now, so it might be odd if you just tuned in, he's got a Christmas shirt on as well, which is... And also, do you know what? The Kirby picture kind of goes.
It does. The star on the tree is kind of like Kirby's riding it almost.
Yeah.
It's thematic. It works pretty well. Yeah, I was happy with that.
I will say I worry there are going to be people who are furious with us right now for even saying the C
I
word.
hope so.
Yeah, but let's talk about some games. Let's talk about some games that came out this year, but Chris and I both platinumed, and Lyle has just started, I believe, on the Steam Deck. Before we get into it, Chris, how are you feeling knowing what he's about to talk about?
As always,
sorry, Chris, I do have to just interrupt you there.
You're an absolute prick. Do you know what? I saw the super chat from Mick where he says interrupt, and like,
why don't you read the super chat out so you can sort of, you do it.
Mick's given us a super chat saying interrupt Chris, making up for missing episode 500 last week. Elden is better than Snap. He means Pokemon Snap, which I think we all agree with. Lyle's shirt is Ace, which we also all agree with.
What do you actually think, though? Yeah, what do you actually think he's going to say here? What do you think Lyle is going to...
No, just to go back a second.
You wonder when I was going to...
No, what was worse, I read it, because you were in the middle of talking about Lyle's shirt, saw the super chat come up, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, fine. And then it instantly left my brain. I instantly forgot it existed in reality. And so then when you interrupted me, I was surprised and annoyed. I was like,
I wondered if you thought, how's he going to actually
play
do this?
like that?
Because he sort of dropped the super chat right when I was in the kind of spiel to introduce what Lyle was going to talk about. So it was, I'd be honest with you, it was a challenge. But I will, before we will talk about Elden Ring, which is what we're here to do.
I'm really worried though, because I always, whenever he starts talking, I get a bit worried.
What about anything ever?
Yeah,
just in general.
Yeah. So that when he's talking about a game that I think is going to, let's just say, feature reasonably heavily in our Game of the Year conversations, given what he thinks about other games that have also featured heavily in previous years' Game of the Years, it always makes me nervous. Well, I suppose it's interesting and entertaining, so go for it, Lyle.
But this isn't Breath of the Lyle, the Patreon-only podcast available via patreon.com/GodIsAGeek for £1 or $1 a month. It's the God is a Geek podcast. So, Lyle.
So, I'll bring some of that energy to the main podcast, is what you're saying.
No need for
that. Okay, well, I'm going to be very nice about Elden Ring for a while, and then I'm going to sort of change it up a little bit just to make things interesting. I have very, very little experience with, any FromSoft Souls genre games, I suppose I'll call them. So this is fairly new to me. I think I played more Bloodborne than I currently have Elden Ring, but that's not a huge statement, really. And I will say that I'm not sure that it clicks with me just yet. There are things where I understand that it's cool. I think boss fights in general are very good. I think it's interesting how tense it is, how much you have to really figure out when you're going to attack, stuff like that. The pacing of maybe try and get a little bit of damage in here and then fucking leg it for a long time, which seems to be how I beat most bosses in this game. It's not really like a lot of other games. I can see why people would appreciate it. The things that I also like exploring the world. I think the world's pretty cool. There is a lot of little crevices you can go in, or caves that you could easily miss and stuff like that. There's a bit you very much don't need to be going towards the critical path at any point, and I'm finding that very interesting because there's almost always something to find if you just go to a little nook on the map. It is jam fucking packed with shit to do, and that's cool. I would say that
here we go.
The amount of shit that they don't think they need to explain to me has been getting old pretty quickly. I've basically decided in this game that I'm putting on my most critical cap, and I'm saying I'm not going to read anything on the internet while I play it. I'm not looking up how to do things. It's a game; it should tell me how to do that. So I've got things that I've tried to equip that are supposed to summon things, and I've heard people talk about them before on podcasts. But anytime I try to do it, my character just sort of fiddles about with his hands and then stands still for a minute. And I'm like, great, thanks, game. Really fucking nailing this one, aren't you? I have been expected to put stat points into a build, and I'm doing that wrong. I can tell you that right now. I keep finding weapons that are sort of saying oh, it'd be good if you use this if you'd been leveling up your dexterity quite a bit alongside it. And it's well, I haven't been. So I'm just sort of flailing around with a sword I found that I thought was quite good. I'm hoping at some point I find a weapon that maybe scales with my faith, because I am a faith character, I think, or at least a decent amount faith.
How far in are you?
I'm about
what's the what? How do you?
I can't even say what
it?
boss because.
Well, I was going to say what major boss is the last boss you fought. I think because
I think I'm about
a boss with a cutscene. I guess that's
yeah. I'm about 7-8 hours in currently, so I'm not.
Okay. So you might not have faced the.
You might not have even. Yeah. Okay.
I think I faced a proper boss, lost, and then decided to never go back there. So that's currently.
Was it in a castle?
It was at the castle.
Yeah,
so,
okay, fine.
So I think that
mess of limbs.
From what I can tell, that is the first big proper boss. And I fought it once, and I was I think I took off a good third of its health, and thought that's not bad. Maybe I could go back there in a bit, but decided I'd go and do other things. I really do the boss fights. Really do deserve a good mention because even these early if you go in a cave and fight a boss, it's really tense.
Breaking news. FromSoft bosses are good.
FromSoft bosses are good, everybody.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but it's just the idea of
Lyle
coming on here mansplaining From Software bosses. What's almost I don't know.
I should write something on the site about this.
And in case you didn't know, they've got health bars, and when you deplete them,
yeah.
Yes, no, they are. They are quality.
Dexterity.
Yeah. At least I understood the part about the stat points and where they're supposed to go. I just
you've done well, I think. Yeah, I think you've done quite well. I think I've never thought about this game in terms of what if you'd never played a Souls game before. Never.
Yeah.
It is one of those things, isn't it? It's a fucking bold approach to Google nothing. Because I'm coming in from this, obviously went to Elden Ring, having played all of the Souls games and stuff, and all of the stuff that exists in those games, attribute scaling and all that sort of stuff, where you're just I have no idea what you're talking about.
But I was
even talking to you Adam, about it, and it's
do you really think that's this bad? Because the one that stands out for me, and it's the only time I think I've ever had to contact the developer, was when I was reviewing Dark Souls 3, and in Dark Souls 3 there is a doll you have to get right, to progress through the game. Like, it is a blocker. If you don't get the doll, you can't
Yeah.
get... It's the place that looks quite Bloodborne-y that you have to access. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And somehow that... To get the doll, there's a whole area behind another boss that I thought was optional, and I just hadn't seen this area. Like, I didn't know this area existed, and it was only when the dev replied, like, saying, oh, you have to go here, and I'm like, oh, okay, sorry, where's that then? Because the game has not led me that way, and they said it, and I was like, fuck. Well, I don't think this is... Is it? Maybe I am. Maybe I've got Stockholm Syndrome with FromSoft. I didn't... Because I did play this pre-release, and I don't remember anything that obtuse.
I think... I mean, what I would say is, without Googling it being your first, I guess you play Bloodborne, right? But if it being your first from, if I was playing Dark Souls without Google, it would be a slog. Because...
Yeah, but I kind of now want to see Lyle try and access the Bloodborne DLC without Googling it.
Oh, of course.
You remember that?
I
remember
agree
how that
with you.
works?
I completely agree with you, and you'll miss out loads of quest lines in Elden Ring.
In fact, that is one I'm pretty sure the PR had to say, and by the way, this is how you access it. Because I just have this wonderful image of us included, every games media outlet out there playing Bloodborne and going like, 60 hours of just searching for the access to the DLC, and then when you find it and it's as balls hard as it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, it's fair. Like, there's no one's going to sit here and defend From Software games having an accessibility issue. I don't think. And I think what's that game Mick just reviewed? Steel Rising. That's got a lot of accessibility stuff and like a compass that can direct you where to go for an objective marker. You're like, what? I'm not going to defend that. Like, he's not. Like you say, it's fucking bold to not.
We will talk about this. We've talked about this already with Elden Ring, and we will talk about it again at Game of the Year in terms of there's a difference between difficulty and accessibility and storytelling and not telling you anything. And when they don't meet in the middle or meet halfway, it can change and even ruin people's experience of it. So it's just a really interesting conversation.
Because like you were saying there about difficulty, and like it really isn't a difficulty issue because I like the bosses. They're fun. They're really hard and they're fucking great.
Challenging.
Once again, FromSoft bosses, right, guys?
Yeah, no, I'm still reeling.
But like, but I know it's a big news, but like they're my favorite part of the game, and the parts of the game that I currently don't appreciate are when I get an item and I'm like, I seem to have loads of stuff that I assume's for crafting. So I guess at some point maybe I'll learn about crafting.
Wait
I don't
a minute.
fucking know.
You may have done what I did in the beta. I wonder if you missed the first church, the Grace Church. As you step out, you know that there's a tutorial a bit, and then you step out into, it's like does the Zelda thing of like, oh, look at this beautiful world. There is a grace point you can miss where he sells a crafting thing. There's a guy with a salesman with a donkey. I think it's a donkey, and he sells a crafting.
Looks like Father Christmas.
Yeah. Have you seen him?
Well, I don't remember him. I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember this.
I'm not being funny. So I will say it does tell you kind of to go that way because it says follow the sort of grey sparkly things. But I because I was playing it on the beta. I mean, you've got no excuses. What I'm saying, when I was playing it, it was beta, and I had none of this information, and I did just miss it. But you got the horse, right?
I have a horse, yeah.
And
I do have a horse.
See, because if you're saying so you're saying you've got things you sort of you can't summon. Have you met like a witch who explains that stuff to you?
I don't. I mean, everyone sort of seems the same.
No, this is like a very obvious like grey witch. She's sat on a wall. It's the same location as this grace point and this salesman. There's a place where you can upgrade your weapons there as well.
I know how to upgrade my weapons. Yeah, I do.
But that doesn't mean you've been there.
No.
I wonder.
I don't know. I mean, I might go back to the start now. It feels a bit like I've Googled though, so I might
watch out for the guy on the horse.
So where the guy on the horse, the first guy on the horse, that you definitely aren't able to handle at the start. It's near there, very, very near there. And I think actually he's one reason why you can miss it because you're trying to stay away from him.
Peg it past him.
Because you're like, I'm not going near that dude.
Yeah, I think I did that. I'm pretty certain. So
wow. I mean, it's totally doable, totally missable.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
Clearly.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to keep going. I think it's kind of a difficult as well because if there's someone that you're supposed to talk to, like I don't like talking to people in this game because they all just spout nonsense
It's
at
trash,
you.
isn't it? Yeah.
So I've just been walking past most of them, or I'll talk to them and they'll say something really cryptic, and I'll be like, "Shut up, wander off."
But again, and we've talked about this before, the other point is you don't know if their cryptic message is just random lore fluff or like super important to what you need to pay
Exactly
attention
what to do.
And that's the other thing as well. It's like, I don't know if I need to pay attention to this or not. And you can't pay attention to everything. So,
yeah. I can't. I've proven that. But I'm going to keep
video
going.
of someone getting annihilated by the Sentinel.
By the exact horse that man on a horse we're talking about, yeah. Well, I mean, join us next episode for further adventures of Lyle in a Breath of the Wild like Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Lyle Ring.
Lyle missing
Well,
key mechanics of a game.
Lyle Ring, there's season 2 sorted.
Thomas in the chat says coming up next, Lyle plays FIFA.
I would love
Lyle's mansplaining of FIFA. That would be great.
Right, guys.
Yeah, no, let's not. Let's talk about Overwatch 2 a little bit because it's out now, sort of, because no one can actually play it. Like at the time we're recording this, I actually just had a quick go because I wanted to try it on Switch just to see, kind of how it looked, and it was like there was a queue of 200 in front of me and it just didn't move, and I was like, I'm going to go and play other things that I can be playing right now, not queuing simulator. I'm not going to lie, I expected this. This is kind of standard of Blizzard at this point. Yeah, like they had network issues with Diablo 2 Resurrected or 2 Resurrected, and like they always have network problems. They don't, I guess I guess they do it on the cheap and don't have enough servers. I don't know, but like I've actually only had trouble getting in for Overwatch 2 in the evenings. Like when I've tried to play it during the day, it's actually been fine. Apart from today on Switch, I must admit, but it was late afternoon, so maybe people are getting in early from work or something. I don't know. It's really difficult to sort of avoid the elephant in the room because I still maintain what I said in the review that when you actually just play it, it's amazing. Like it's just terrific fun. It's Lyle, you can jump in at any point, obviously, mate. But like you didn't play Overwatch, I don't think, and you've had some fun with Torbjorn and like it's quite an accessible shooter, and that it doesn't have 100 buttons to you haven't got to worry about sprinting. Either the character's quick or slow or medium. You've kind of got the triggers, the bumpers, and a jump button, and reload if you want. But I mean, it's not actually that complex of a game to play.
Yeah, kind of half agree with that.
Yeah, I mean the physical aspect of play. I don't mean the actual understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, the physical aspect of like you have this character, these buttons do this. You figure that out pretty quickly. But when you jump into a game after you've done like the tutorial and maybe messed about in a training mode for like 10 minutes, and every character is someone you don't have a fucking clue what they're doing, and suddenly they start flying and raining rockets down on you, and you're like, oh god, what am I doing? And you just get killed. Like it's gonna take a lot of learning for someone like me who hasn't played the first Overwatch to like, what the fuck's this character? What's happening? Why am I dying instantly to this? But like in terms of jumping in as my boy Torb and placing turrets and just like letting the turret do all the fucking hard work and having, fun in these multiplayer matches, actually having fairly decent results currently. Like there's enough players that I'm not just getting battered over and over and over again. Like it feels fairly evenly matched most games I play, and that core gameplay and like using all your abilities at the right time and stuff is a hell of a lot of fun. Like it's hard for me to say things as to like
no that's
exciting
fair.
Over the first game,
but you see that's one of the things as well though, is that a lot of people are out there being really funny and calling it Overwatch 2.0 and being all real really clever and sort of hardcore funny, but the thing is a lot of those people are playing it as a sequel to a game they played a lot of time as. Now what I found quite interesting is that because obviously I had played the first one a lot, there was no onboarding, so to speak, of for Overwatch 2 because it knows I don't need it. I've unlocked all this shit, blah blah blah. I've got the battle pass, What's interesting is if you have never played it before, you have to unlock heroes and stuff, don't you? I didn't even realise that until Chris White was playing it for sort of some of the guides and stuff, which you can see on godisthegeek.com, especially if you want to find out how to unlock them all. But I found that really interesting because, of course, if you were to just be presented with, I couldn't even tell you offhand how many characters there are.
Fucking loads.
Loads, yeah, off the bat, you would be like... Because do you know what? Even I get it sometimes. When if two people have picked like a support, which is where I usually go, and I've got to pick an assault character, I do sort of. I'm like, shit, because there's a lot of choice, and it's been a while for me. So I do think the onboarding's decent, but it is. And Kieran in the live chat says it's not so much technical abilities, it's game sense and character knowledge, and that's where I think what 100%. Really helps with this game is playing with your friends. Because, for example, the other end of that. Of what you had, I had this sort of similar experience when it was now live with the public, but the other end of it. So I was playing games as Baptiste, and I got the impression that people didn't know that character. I mean, they couldn't be him because I was him, but I got the feeling they just didn't understand what I was doing. So, like, he has a move where you can throw down an invincibility field. Now, it doesn't last long, but if you're pushing something hard, or all your characters are together, chucking down a little orb where you can be all invincible, just for a brief amount of time, is a massive, massive bonus because you can really charge and kill people. But I would be throwing that down and they'd just be ignoring it and running in opposite directions. And it's like, but the thing we're pushing, it's on the thing we're pushing. Like, just stay on it. And they can't, it won't last long, but it will last long enough. And I was like, maybe it's me. I'm probably shit. I'm out of practice. He's also, his ultimate, it puts up like a big force, like a field, you can visibly see, it looks like a shield, but it's not. It's a screen. And then shooting through that shield, that screen, amplifies everything. So if you stick that down and your team of 5 stand behind it and everyone fires through it, it's like the bullets, I think it's doubled. So it's like everything's doubled. So again, the combination play here, but everyone just ran through it. And it's like, okay, so now I can shoot my heal gun and heal you quicker because I'm shooting through it, and then I can pepper them a little bit and do some damage. But you're all the other side of it now. And if you stayed this side of it, we could all shoot through it. I could still heal you. You still get shot, but I can still heal you. And you can do double damage. And it's like, this happened repeatedly. And then in one match I played, there's a character called Sombra who's been buffed in a way that... So she can go invisible, and she can hack you. And hacking you basically amplifies damage to you. And it also temporarily removes abilities. So say you did have a get out of dodge ability when that sort of thing happens, you can't use it temporarily because she's hacked you. Now this Sombra absolutely could see that I was not controlling the game, but being a good support player and keeping people alive, dropping the ult, dropping the invincibility field to push us forward. So this Sombra would just go invincible and just wait for me, like literally camp wherever they could see me coming from. There's no way around it. I was trying to, you can do as Baptiste, you can do like a big jump, and I couldn't get away from it. I just couldn't get, and there was times where it's like, I don't want to change character here because I am doing a lot of healing when I get to you, and I'm doing damage as well. But unless someone who's like tanky or an assault comes and helps me get to the fucking point, this Sombra can now hack you whilst they're invisible. Now it reveals their position, but of course it's too late because they're already hacking you. It's a quick ability, whereas before, I don't think they could do that. And it's the way it's done now is that like I was just getting mullered by this character to the point where it's like I'm going to have to change. And unfortunately, I had gone role queue, which is a mode where you literally queue to, you say I want to be a healer support. I'm queuing up to be a support. It's not just it's quick play, but it's like you are queuing for a role. So it was really I was kind of stuck because it's like there's no real support there's no support character I can really shift to that's going to counter what Sombra was doing to me. I need someone else to help me here. And now if we're playing that, I just tell you guys that.
Mm-hmm. And we just deal with it. And
we deal with it together. We progress together. And that's nothing new. Like that's multiplayer games, isn't it, really? They're always better playing with people you like. But I do think Overwatch is one of those that like it really dramatically improves when you're with friends. Or a group who are communicating and understand a bit of, even if there's just one guy on the team who can go, I don't know, I mean, I don't even know the meta these days, but like whoever the counter to Sombra is, probably like a junk rat or something like that, or a roadhog, but like they can say, okay, I'll sort that out. Let's get you back in and healing and invincibling us up and stuff. So I get it, But on the other hand, that's why I kind of love this game, if that makes sense. Like I love the team composition stuff, and it actually, now it's out in the wild and I can play it whenever I want. Well, in theory, I can play it whenever I want. I will say also that the shift to 5v5 really has changed the way support roles are, because what you now get is you haven't got the kind of double tank protection you'd often have in 6v6 in Overwatch 1. And you also, so far, again, maybe it's because I'm playing during the day when I can actually get matches to work, but you don't have the guarantee of like 2 support classes. You know, like I've played a few matches now where I've been the only support, and I think you can get away with it because there's only 4, not 5 people to heal. But whereas it was 6v6, you could almost guarantee you'd kind of have 2 and 2. You know what I mean? Like 2 tanks. 2. Whereas now I am quite often either the only support character or the other support person is Kiriko, the new character, who you can absolutely tell they are just really wanting to try out this new character, which causes problems of its own, if you know what I mean, because like they're trying to get good. So it really has changed the dynamic, and you do have to play support differently. But I love it, man. I get all the complaints. Like the thing I didn't address last week, which I definitely can now, is that what was concerning me the most is that there were in-store characters skins that you could only pay money for. Now this isn't new. Fortnite does this. I don't like it there either, if I'm honest with you. But the rapidity that that the skins come out in Fortnite, I feel like it's maybe less of an issue. But with Overwatch, and also because I think Overwatch is possibly a more hardcore of an audience, if that makes sense. Whereas Fortnite, we all know that everyone can play Fortnite and does, and it's the age range is, as broad as it is long. In this, I had my currency from Overwatch. I had my new currency from the Overwatch 2. I had 2,000 Overwatch coins. I got all the currencies you got, and then I saw this skin when I was looking at Doomfist, and it was like, oh, that's a nice skin. And my son's a big Doomfist player, and he was there looking at it as well. He's like, that's great. How do you get that? So you click it, and it says buy from shop, and I'm like, well, no, surely you just unlock with your coins. No, you go to the shop, and it's £4.29, 39, forget which now, and it comes with the skin, and I think 400 Overwatch coins. And I was like, so you're telling me this really cool looking skin, the only way I can get that is by dropping cash into your pocket, Blizzard. Now, I understand it, you've got to make money somehow, but if I've bought, let's say, 2,000 Overwatch coins, you're now telling me I can't spend them on a skin. And I feel like if I'm spending money on coins, that's the same thing, isn't it? Like I'm giving you money. So I don't like it. Like I say, they're not the only people that do it. Fortnite does it. Most games with battle passes do it in some way or another. But it just feels really kind of icky because there are so many other skins you just unlock in the battle pass or you spend your coins on. And it's like even now where you're sort of getting coins by paying for them. They're like a traditional free-to-play currency now. Like you buy, like whether it's going back to the old days of mobile games where it's like 79p for some coins to make your game quicker. You're buying these coins, but you can't spend them on the one thing you want. But you can spend them on these 10 things, but not that one you want. If you want that one, sorry, I know you just spent, I don't know, whatever, $7.99 on 2,000 coins, but you will have to buy spend another £4 on this skin, and then we'll give you 400 more coins, which, again, you can't use on this skin. Like, that just seemed, I don't know.
Yeah, it is a bit icky, isn't it? It just like,
dirty business.
If you have a currency that you have paid real money for, you'd like to think that you could spend it on any of the things that require you to pay real money for it. And I get a lot of games do it, and I mean,
look, the only reason for this is to cheat people out of extra money.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Isn't it? That's the only reason is for someone. It's to literally catch the person who goes, "Oh, I want to support." Because I would genuinely buy the battle pass for this game every month or every season because I love it and I want to give them some money to support the game that they give me so many hours for. But if you're now telling me that I can spend X amount, like with FIFA, for example, let's really compare this. With FIFA, you have 2 options. You can earn coins in game, which you can then sell players, blah blah, blah, and you can spend those coins on packs. Or you can pay money to EA directly, cash, for Ultimate team points, which is a different currency, which again you can spend on the packs. When you go to buy a pack, it will say to you, do you want to use your, I don't know, 7,500 coins, or do you want to use 350 points?
Yeah.
And if you want it, if you click the points, it will take you to the store to buy points if you don't have them. So you definitely, like, I can't fucking believe I'm in a situation where I'm saying FIFA does it better.
I know, to be honest, I was sitting there going, scarily, FIFA does it better.
Because FIFA not that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is weird. I guess there is, one, people will buy it.
Yep. Oh, 100%.
I guess there's also the thing, there is an element that I'm almost certain to be a factor in this as well. People will want it because
it's rarer.
Because it's rarer.
And it is,
so if any old person,
I'm not a
save up
Doomfist
the
guy,
coins,
but this is a nice skin, man. It was a really good one.
Yeah, it's a nice skin, and people know that not everyone's going to be rocking it because it's cost money.
But
so
then what if it shows up in 3 months down the line as a battle pass thing?
Well, then more for the person that's paid it. But that's why that's one of the reasons why those things exist, because people are prepared to pay for things to look different.
Oh, if they weren't prepared to pay for it, they wouldn't exist.
Yeah, of course.
But it is a remarkable thing to sit there and go, of all the sort of dirty business out there, I'm more comfortable with FIFA's method than the fact you will sell me coins.
You know what you're getting.
No, and that do you know what? It wouldn't actually blame Blizzard if they turned around and said, look, you moan like fuck about loot boxes. No loot boxes now. If you want the skin, pay for it. It's crazy. And I hate that we're talking about it, but then, like I say, is the fact that no one can get on the game at the moment.
It feels weird that there's like only certain ways to buy certain things. That does feel weird.
Yes, to be completely clear, if it was pay £4.29 for this Doomfist skin or 2,000 coins,
that's fine.
No problems, no issues.
100%. Yeah,
because I can buy as many coins as I want. I can, a kid who loves the game can put their pocket money into coins in the knowledge that no matter what comes to the store, they will have the option to do so with saved currency, not extra cash.
But you could. This is going to sound really like but you can imagine the scenario, like say in the kid example, the kid's just going to go to the parents and go, "I want this skin. It's $4.29."
Yeah, and they'll just give them it. Shut up.
But
That said, that's kind of what I didn't talk about last week because I needed the game to be in the wild. Kieran asked how it runs on Switch. I can't tell you because I got in a queue that never moved. So I am going to do it.
The queue runs well.
No, it doesn't. It clearly didn't, right?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. I will say, if Blizzard are looking for anything, it would be nice. The nice thing to do would be to somehow make it so you could at least maybe access practice mode without needing to be queued to get onto the servers. Like maybe have I don't know. It just you can't even go practice versus AI. It is like the game does nothing. It just loads up and you click A and you queue. It will ease off.
Like I couldn't even go into the character menu to try and learn what the abilities are by reading text or anything
you literally can't get past the main menu. Not even the main menu. You can't even get to the main menu without connecting to a server, which is good from a kind of dedicated service perspective, but that is
terrible if there's a queue. That is bad. I didn't realise that when you said
the whole game is completely based on you log into the server from the very moment you boot it up. Yeah, you get a Blizzard splash screen and then a queuing. Well, no, then you get like Overwatch 2 and then you press A to start and then,
And then once you're in that system, while you're waiting for a game, you can then go to the practice area and stuff like that. But like, if I could have been in that practice area while I was waiting for like about 20 minutes total,
that would have been great.
I was trying to get it work, I would actually know what most of the characters do. Like,
absolutely.
I'd have been able to try them out and test them out and stuff. I would, from that character standpoint as well, I would like to say, I mean, I understand the onboarding thing in terms of like locking quite a lot of characters, so there's not so many. I think they should have locked a lot more. Like,
how many are available then? Like when you first played it?
When you first play it, there's about 5 tanks, 5 damage.
I was going to say, I think there's about 3 or 4 of each class.
Okay, that seemed like I figured it would be like 8 total.
Yeah, because I think if there was less. And maybe if there was a way to maybe put people who didn't have as many characters in the same sort of like baby lobby for a little bit or something,
I see.
So you will learn.
So you're coming up against characters you can't even pick.
I'm coming up against characters I can't pick.
Can you pick them in the practice range, or are they completely locked off?
I've not tested. I don't think.
I'd just be curious because I was wondering if the same with Kiriko, who's like obviously a premium battle pass. I was curious if people could try her in the practice range before they buy.
I'd have to test because I
would be curious
because I've barely tested the ones I already have available.
The actual game,
and the actual game. But like, I've had about 8 matches now, maybe total. So not a huge amount, obviously, but about as many as
Have you
anyone
enjoyed
could
it?
force
Like,
now.
generally
I have
speaking,
enjoyed
yeah.
it.
No, that's the
Yeah.
important part, isn't it?
And I'd be really interested to play it, like you say, with friends who know a bit more about what they're doing and kind of have that experience of working together and understanding how everything works. And so I think there is a lot of potential, because at the moment I like it. I think it's fun. I can tell it's well made. I can tell that if I put more time into it, I'd enjoy it more. But like, I'm kind of at this point where I'm just like, even when I am getting games, every game something will happen I don't understand. I've definitely run through that shield at some point. The wall that you put up, I've run through that like all your teammates.
Yeah, but how would you know what it is? Because I want to say he wouldn't be unlocked for you yet, actually.
No, he's not. No, he's
there
not.
You go. So how on earth could you know what that is without someone saying to you, Lyle, if you shoot through this, you'll get double damage or 40% damage with this.
And if there were like maybe 8 characters total unlocked from the start, and you were playing against people who were similar, and then as you sort of unlocked more characters, they maybe like, because it was sort of a slow enough system almost that you would like be interested, would actively check them out, and then you'd learn them. It feels like you would get a lot more of what's going on, whereas at the moment I'm in a pool of like 30 different characters, most of which I can't play. And things are happening, and I'm like, well, I don't know what that is. I'm like, I can't just go to the menu and read the description of every move of every character without.
Do you know what you can do? You know what you can do though, Chris? What could he do?
He could go to godisthegeek.com and look at the extensive list of guides and helpful tips and tricks that we have for Overwatch 2, which will cater to all of your Overwatch 2 needs.
And to those wondering, yes, Chris is available for advertising and voiceover work. Let's move on a bit, because I feel like Overwatch 2 is going to be a game we sort of dip in and out of quite a bit. Like, I would genuinely be intrigued as to how you feel about it if you get a chance to play it between now and next week. I'd like to hear what Chris thinks of, because the support class, I'm just like, me and Chris as a support, it's fucking dream. It's the dream. He's Mercy or someone like that. Yeah, but that's the other thing is like, you get your tank.
Do you know what? It's interesting. I was because Chris obviously did a load of work on the guides for the stuff I just plugged for the site, and I was flying down. I was like, yeah, I think I'd probably be that Mercy character. She looks pretty amazing. Yeah. And I was just like, oh god, I don't not want to get sucked in, because this type of game seems like on paper it should be my ideal type of game. I'm very much a co-op, online co-op type player. Like, I wouldn't play Call of Duty on my own. No. The only time I ever play Call of Duty on my own is if I'm waiting for my friends to come online and I know that that's the session that's going to happen, and we'll be talking and communicating and everything, and be playing a co-op objective, right? We never play free for it. It's almost like domination or something, right? So this to me, and I could be a healer class. Oh my god, right? Sign me up, right? It's like it should be the thing that I love. I do need to try it out.
We'll play it. We'll play it. Yeah. We'll play it together. We'll get a game going. Before we move into listener correspondence this week, I do want to give. I've no footage to show you. I just want to give it a brief shout out, because Nier, Automata, Automatos, Nier, the one that isn't Replicant, is out now on Switch. I reviewed it, gave it a 9 out of 10. Oh, that game! Like, just.
But you know what? I was reading your review, and I was just like, it was just reminded me, because obviously I played Replicant and that was good, but
this is better.
Automata is just, it's proper, like, people should play it. If you've not played it,
that's it. Yeah,
you've got to play. And for crying out loud, the credits aren't the end. Please, people.
keep playing it after the credits. Yeah, I mean the long and the short of it is, and we'll move on very quickly. But the long and the short of it is, this isn't the best version of the game. I can't even say it's the best handheld version, because the Steam Deck exists now. I will say, if you've never played it, having this on the OLED, running at 30 frames per second, yep, there's a Steam Deck, Lyle. Yep, that's one of them. It is visually a little bit worse for wear in places, but not much. And to be honest, it was never a stunner to begin with. It has its moments. The Carnival, it has its moments. But like, you start as a shoot 'em up game, then you're into a sort of Bayonetta style action game. There's hacking. There's just, this game's so inventive and clever.
It flows so beautifully into all three of those, like you just said. Like,
it's just magic, that game. Like, it's absolute magic. If you've never played it and you don't have a PlayStation or Xbox and you don't have a gaming PC, you do have a Switch, like everyone else in the world has one now. it's a no-brainer. It does run slightly worse rather than I said better than. It is 30 frames, not 60, which it was on the PS4. They're very clear about that. Like even in the press release today that the game is out, I saw even in that press release it says it runs at 1080p, docked, 720 handheld, and 30 frames locked. Like they're not hiding it. They're very clear about it. Do go and play Nier Automata.
But to be honest, if it means we get this game on Switch,
yeah.
You know,
it's one I won't delete. I won't delete that game from my Switch. No. It'll always be there, just now and again, just to remind myself a little bit. It's a cracker. But now it is time for
Chris Hyde. Listen to Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde. Hello. So we've just got a few questions this week, and they're all of the same general sort of structure.
Style, structure.
Style, structure, which will become very apparent as I read them out. So the first one is from Pooh, and he asks, what's the best handheld of all time, and why is it the PS Vita?
Well, it's not the PS Vita.
It's not, is it? Well,
no, it isn't.
Sorry.
This is gonna...
It's not. I will say, the PS Vita, fantastic bit of kit.
It is lovely. It's a lovely, lovely bit of hardware, but I'd say it has library issues, perhaps.
I just
support issues, maybe.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, like, I'll always be grateful for the MotorStorm game that came there. And I think Uncharted Golden Abyss was underrated. I think it got Wipeout. It had a great... I will say, I think Sony did support it quite well in terms of software. Like, they didn't just hang out to try. A lot of it was front-loaded. But like that MotorStorm game, like I tried to play that on PS5 via the PS3 streaming. Because it was a PS3 game as well, in that one. MotorStorm RC, wasn't it? Like, the best Micro Machines game since Micro Machines. But I just never seem to get those things working on my network for some reason. They always seem to just be laggy. But yeah, that game just magic, and I love the Vita for that. But it ain't the Vita for me. Sorry.
No, we should also mention, if we are saying nice things about the Vita, though, that Persona 4 Golden was on the Vita, and that's. I love Tearaway as well. I think Tearaway was the first game I played on my Vita. What an amazing game! What just pure joy. I will say
there's an argument to be made that the PS Vita has possibly some of the best handheld games ever made on it.
I think so.
In a world before the Switch existed, because I think that's hybrid console stuff. But like you say, Persona 4 Golden is... We talked about this literally today, Lyle, didn't we? We talked about Persona stuff. I would argue Persona 4 Golden might be the best handheld game ever, if not up there. You know, so who's going to be the one to just say what their choice is?
It's a hard one to pick, though, isn't it?
Like, are we writing off the Steam Deck? Are we saying the Steam Deck's too young, and it's like it's...
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to pick the Steam Deck right now, because it's not been around for ages, and it sort of feels like cheating, doesn't it? Let's face it, it feels like you're cheating.
Also, let's be honest, it does have library issues in that you can only really play what's on Steam. But then is that fair? Because like you can only play what's on Vita, you know?
I mean, yeah, I think that's sort of the same thing. And you can only play what's on Steam. It's like, oh, you mean a billion?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like a bit of a weird sentence.
To be clear, what I'm saying is like you cannot, even though it is a gaming PC, you cannot play Overwatch 2 on it. You cannot play other games that aren't fresh in my mind at the moment on it.
Yeah, things like that. No, I get that, and I think that's...
It's too soon. Let's just say it's too soon and agree that we have to pick something else.
You mentioned hybrid consoles, so are we saying we would count the Switch then?
I don't think we can, because I think, again, it's like... I don't know, I just feel it's... I mean, if you think... I mean, it probably is the Switch, isn't it?
If you count the Switch, it's the Switch.
It's the
for
Switch,
me,
probably,
but it's.
I mean, fucking Breath of the Wild, Odyssey.
I wasn't. What's that?
Breath of the Wild, Odyssey, Mario Kart. Just the launch sort of area.
Yeah,
like,
the launch
I think.
Window, yeah.
I don't think you can count the Switch because you can stick the Switch in, and I don't think you can count the Wii U because it's not a handheld console. It's just got a handheld.
No, the
device.
Wii U isn't a handheld.
The Wii U's not a handheld console.
Okay, just to be clear,
no,
but
not at all.
I don't think you can count the Switch. I don't think you can because yes, it's a handheld console. It just doesn't feel in the spirit of the question. But if you count the Switch, it's the Switch.
Yeah, well, if we're not counting the Switch, I know my answer then, and my answer is the original DS. Is my pick.
I agree with you.
I was umming and ahhing between 3 and non-3.
Yeah.
They've
and
merged for me a little.
Yeah, no, I know. I was like 2.
Because I was going to go with 3DS, and I was like, no, hang on, the DS.
Yeah, no, I think, and I was like, instantly when I read this question, I was like, it's the 3DS, and then I thought about it. It's like, no, am I actually thinking that it's the DS?
But wait, you can play any DS game on a 3DS, can't you? But you can't play Game Boy Advance games.
Can't play Game Boy Advance, and you can play any Game Boy Advance on a
slot
DS.
on the
So, and I think the game,
and we all know that had Golden Sun on it.
it sure did. I had Golden Sun wedged in that slot for about 3 years, just in case.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the DS also marks the last time I imported a game, something I used to do quite regularly. Osutaku Wendan, if that's pronouncing it right. Elite.
My exact last import.
Elite
game.
Beat Agents, or as it was called one here. It got a sequel, didn't it?
It did. It had
What a
2
game
in
that
Japan,
was.
just
My
1
God.
here. Yeah.
Like that, and I got a feeling it was all. I mean, I'm going back some now, so, but it was all in Japanese, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, 100%.
But I didn't care. That game was.
It doesn't matter, does it?
I think I bought it again, obviously, when it came out in English, but it kind of wasn't the same for me.
See, I've played it first in English, so I really liked it.
And then imported
the
Jesus Christ,
because it was like,
wow.
because it was a different game entirely.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't the same anything. It was just like the same mechanics basically.
Yeah,
it was like saying a Guitar Hero with different
rock
tracks
bands,
isn't the same game. Yeah.
What a game.
But yeah,
I mean that almost on its own puts me up there for me. Yeah. Oh wow, we agree. Okay. That was easy. A Game Boy Advance is a good shout, though, I have to say.
Yeah, I know. I know. Because this is where my mind went. I literally went, well, it's got to be the 3DS. And then I went DS. And then I was like, oh, I went to Game Boy Advance. And then when you said, oh, you can play Game Boy Advance.
It's got the slot in the bottom, hasn't it? You could literally plug it in. Yeah. No. Okay. Easy.
Okie doke. The next question then. Which podcast host is the worst and why is it Lyle? Which I think is a weird question because Lars never hosted the podcast.
Well, I think we are all hosts, aren't we? That's the way I look at it. I know I say like I'm the host at the start because I introduce it and sort of move it along. But, you know, nowadays, like there's listener correspondence is your section. So, like, you're hosting that section. You know, Lyle's here every week. I would consider...
I guess the spirit of the question that mentions Lyle, it must include him. Otherwise...
Yeah. But if we want to read it another way, we could say I'm the worst host because I don't host, and I think that's an acceptable.
Again, I don't think it's in the spirit of the question, is it? Though, let's be honest.
No,
but I definitely would argue we're all hosts because I wouldn't think of you two as guests.
True.
If that makes sense. Yeah. I would say you two aren't guests. You're hosts.
You're like Stu Barker, and we're like Phil Tufnell and Matt Dawson.
I would have gone a bit more modern and gone. I'm Romesh Ranganathan, and you guys are Mika Richards and Jamie Redknapp, and you can argue the toss over which one of you's Jamie.
We could go Rob Brydon, David Mitchell, and
absolutely
Lee Mack.
Fine. Yeah, no, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
I think we all know I'm David Mitchell on that. In that,
I think you have to be. Yeah, really.
Anyway,
yeah.
So okay, then I'm gonna.
The only way to really answer, I think I have to be withdrawn from the conversation because
no. Everyone has to answer this question.
No, let me finish. I have to be withdrawn from what I'm about to say. Is what I mean. I think the only way to really do this is for you two to both have a go at like introducing the podcast.
I've already introduced it before.
Yeah,
but that was like years ago.
And you know, I get my words wrong, so no.
Which is why I thought it would make for a really entertaining podcast. But no, fair enough.
I get confused when you interrupt me, which is the whole reason for the...
I don't think you get confused. You get annoyed.
No, I forget what I'm saying. You have to remind me the points I was making.
Have you got like a lot of asbestos in your house then or something? Or like...
I'm just not very bright.
Is there a sort of Garth Marenghi style vent that we can't see that's piping like gas into your room that we can't?
Would explain a lot, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah. So does Lyle want to have a go then, and we can?
Oh, just presenting, is that my new role?
Well, it depends what you mean by presenting. If you mean standing up and unzipping, then please don't do that.
Presenting like as in a cat.
Yeah.
Then no, please don't.
Okay, right, that's fine.
You don't have to. I'm not going to make you.
No, I got it.
He wants to.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 501 of the God is a Geek podcast. I'm your host, Lyle Carr, and I'm here on Christmas Day, as you can tell, with my lovely co-hosts. We've got Chris Hyde. Say hello, Chris. And Adam Cook.
Yo, peace out.
Word to your mother.
What a great episode this is going to be. Let's talk about those video games.
I'm
Right.
going to say... No, you can't answer this question. Someone's going to go home upset.
I've got the answer. Do you want me to give the answer?
Just
I
say
have
it's
the
me,
answer.
and because I don't care, so I'm doing it anyway.
No, I was going to say it's Mick Fraser. He's not here. We can all just pick him.
Fair. Yeah,
And
no, that's fair.
It's all right.
Oh man, I'm picking Lyle.
Oh no, yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
knew you were. But then if we've got 2 for Mick and 1 for me, then it's still all right.
It's still Mick, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Sorry,
going
Mick.
to pick me because I'm not going to be upset by it, and
Okay.
I'm the one who usually gets it's that interrupting bloke, and now it's fucking become a joke in the chat. I will say, by the way, before we move on, Thomas McInnes says Lyle promised me a Magnum PI eyebrow wiggle, and now will be a good time. So Lyle, you're full screen.
Yeah, proper lean in.
So I'm going to keep talking, and
Okay.
I never want to see that ever again.
It was quite sinister and horrible, really.
It was.
You need to make a short from that.
Yeah, that's
can't-
gonna...
I can't say what I want to say because it's probably get us in trouble. But
But
yeah,
but you
just,
want to
It
say
was
something.
creepy.
I mean,
yeah,
if
it
that
was
isn't
very
made into Thomas has just said, just like the GIF. If that's not made into a GIF and on our Discord, which you can get access to via patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, then I'll be a Dutchman. We got any more questions, Chris? Because let's move away from this.
We've got one last question from G-Tan Steve. He said, "What is the most underrated console, and why is it the Wii U?"
See, now the answer is the PS Vita, isn't it?
I was going to say the Wii U. I think I agree with Steve. I love
It's
the Wii U.
probably the Wii U, though, isn't it? It is, because like how many games did they port over in the end?
I think it is. I was and ahhing between that because I think the N64 gets a bad rap a lot.
True.
I think people just remember that and hate it for some
I think
reason.
the GameCube gets forgotten as well.
Yeah, no,
definitely.
every
All
Nintendo
Nintendo.
console. Yeah, no. To be fair, the GameCube does get a bad rap. I think because everyone just went "What? mini CDs. What are you doing? But I mean, maybe it is the Wii U because, like I say, the amount of games where everyone just went, "Oh, this is good," and like, yeah, it was released 5 years ago, but only 3 people bought it.
But the question, the specific word there, underrated. A lot of them games were rated well, and like I did a lot of Wii
It's
U
underrated
coverage.
console though, not games, and I guess.
But I like the Wii U. It's just no one ever bought it because I think of the name. I really do.
Yeah, it's a hard
Yeah,
one though,
no.
because like you say, no one bought it. If there's ever a
Dreamcast.
joke about, yeah.
But hang on though, yeah, no one bought it, but everyone that did thinks it's amazing. No one, I've
Well,
never heard anyone
Dreamcast.
say the Dreamcast is shit. I've never heard anyone that's played it say that's shit.
Okay, that's fair.
But I don't know how many people who played a Wii U said it was shit. I think people just didn't buy it again, like you were saying. And then I don't know what you pick. What do you pick? And then it has to be underrated, so it has to actually be good.
I think that's why I go PS Vita. Because like even now people use that as an emulation machine. Now it's been whatever hacked or jailbroken or whatever. Like that console just got no love from any direction outside of we loved it at God is a Geek, and a few other sort of sites did. But like generally speaking, that console just didn't get any love. It was underrated and underappreciated.
Is the real answer here? Stadia.
I
No,
thought you might say Stadia. I was waiting for it.
no, we had the meeting and you were all told not to mention that ever again on
Well,
this podcast.
Sorry.
It's like it didn't exist, just as Google
Wait,
wanted. They paid a lot of money for everyone
Yeah,
to just
but
completely
Overwatch
wipe
won.
that from the internet. It's just...
Wait, can he now be the worst host? He mentioned Stadia. Let's vote it to be him.
I could never vote him worse than anything, Lyle. I'm sorry, I just couldn't. I
Oh.
just couldn't.
Well,
It would be
okay.
dishonest, and I'm nothing but an overly honest twat. For me, I'm going to say that if I'm allowed a handheld, and it doesn't say I can't, I'm going to say the Vita. The original Vita with that OLED before they cheaped out and made it sort of a cheaper console, but a lot slightly worse overall. Like that original OLED Vita was just at the time, like the gimmickry of it as well was kind of magical. Like I have a vague memory of reviewing Uncharted Uncharted Golden Abyss, and having to do something. Well, we've got wall lights in our lounge, and having to do something with lights for candles or something. Like I have a vague memory of doing something like that with the camera on the front, and it had the touch pads on the back, and it was a weird console. But it was
very
magic.
weird.
It was kind of magic, and like I remember the sticks being good, and it just seemed no one gave a shit about that. And like, the Vitalife jokes at the time, and I think it was underloved, underrated, and underappreciated. So for me, it's a Vita.
Okay, I'm going to go for a bit of a weird one then. I've decided after thinking about the question longer.
The
I'm
Wonder
going
Swan.
To, I'm not going to say the Wonder Swan,
Virtual
but you
Boy.
know, great pick. I'm going to say the Wii, because everyone, whenever they're talking about the Wii, just thinks about like the shovelware, the waggle, stuff like that. I mean, it gets a lot of good press as well.
It
but I
changed
think
the
people-
world.
It did change the world, and I agree it changed the world. But I think I still think people like think of that as being like not a gamer's console, if you know what I mean. I don't think people loved a lot of things that the Wii did, and I'm not going to say it got bad reception because it sold billions and was amazing and all that shit. But like, I think people could still be nicer to it, so I'm just going to say it.
I'm going to say GameCube after thinking about it. I
Yeah.
think interestingly, when people talk about the Wii, they do talk about like Nintendo was dead, like everything that came before it was shite, and it's like no, it fucking wasn't. That GameCube was great. Has the best intro of any console.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, GameCube after thinking about it. So yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's a fine choice.
That is
Agreed.
the end of this week's Chris Hyde's Listener Correspondence. Play the tune. Hyde. Listener Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde.
Well, Chris, that isn't just the end of Listener Correspondence, it's the end of the podcast, pretty much. Bit of a shorter one this week, you know. I mean, not celebrating a massive birthday like we were last time.
No, just a pair of Levi's.
Just a pair of Levi's. Also because we've got, like, so much we can't talk about. And I'll say no more than that. But we're in big game season. It's happening, you know,
It's
Overwatch.
cranking up now, isn't it?
Normally it's Madden. Normally Madden's the klaxon, but this year I feel like Overwatch 2 has been the klaxon, and now the games, they are just coming. And we've got... and hopefully we can have a little look at No Man's Sky on Switch by next week. I'd like to see how that runs, because it's kind of... I'm hoping it does that thing of where... A bit like when I played Spider-Man on Steam Deck, where you're like, this doesn't... How? And so hopefully that's that. I genuinely don't know at this point, but hopefully we'll have played that by this time next week. I mean, it'll be out, so hopefully. There's so much else coming, so much exciting stuff down the line. Go to godisgeek.com, click on the little thing that says release dates. There's a little button, just jump straight to now, and you can see it's going to be a busy month.
Yeah, just imagine what we might be playing right now by looking at that list.
Yeah.
Just think about it.
And that's not breaking embargo, because we've said nothing.
No,
but
we might
all
be.
in your head.
Yeah, it could be that we're playing something from December. You don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not. But
I know, I don't think I am.
Could be. It's not entirely impossible. But on that note, do go to patreon.com/godisgeek. I'm sorry to keep pimping it, but it does keep the lights on, so to speak. You know, literally that light on behind Lyle, the thing that he's using instead of a radiator, that Christmas tree this winter. It helps us. It goes directly to us. It helps us make sure that, for example, one thing it really helps is the Game of the Year content, because it means that we can make sure that everyone has played everything that they need to have played if anyone's missed anything. It's a great opportunity for us to do that. So go there, find out. There's exclusive stuff there. There's brand new podcasts. There's all sorts of stuff that you can only get by being a supporter. Like I said, it's £1 a month. I know times are tough. I've literally been on the phone to both the taxman and the electric company this week, begging them. That's the life of a games journalist. We all know this. But you can help us out for £1 a month or $1, whichever is your currency, or €1, I suppose, whatever. A ruble,
it's all the same.
It's all the same, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, let's face it, the pound ain't worth much anyway. But on that note, go to godisgeek.com, follow us on social media, TikTok and all that stuff. And as I try desperately to suppress a belch that I have been suppressing for at least 90 seconds, it's only time left to say thank you to Lyle and Chris for being here, as they always are every week.
Thank you.
Thank you, listener, for sticking with us, even after the 500th, dies down and relaxes a bit. And I do want to say, if you do watch this in the video and you're on YouTube and you've got the comment section on, go down there and tell me what you think about all this Overwatch nonsense, because I really want to hear what people think of it. Thank you very much, and we will speak to you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.